Well, I'm the head of Stewardship and Sustainability Investing. Fidelity International have 25 offices around the world. We manage roughly about $300 billion of assets, and we have a very international client base, institutional and retail investors. Yeah, it's an interesting question. I would argue that ESG has always been very much embedded in the way that analysts think about their companies, the decision making made by the portfolio managers. It just hasn't necessarily been dressed up as sustainability investing. Part of my role is to amplify the message around ESG, the qualitative factors, the material factors that can actually have an impact on sustainability of business models and broader thinking about the resilience that companies have to some of the innovation and changes that are going on, maybe at a regulatory basis, but can ultimately, lack of adherence would affect the reputation, the corporate value, or the earnings, etc. By working with companies that we are targeting where we feel there is capacity for influence and positive impact in terms of their ESG behaviours, we can demonstrate to asset owners and consultants that we are using our voice beyond just voting, but actually engaging with companies to affect change. And I think it's at the next stage is really working more closely with those asset owners to kind of find the issues that they consider to be important in the ESG space, and also maybe develop products which meet the kind of demand that they have, whether they're low carbon or whether they're explicit ESG portfolios. Well, again, I think I'm very confident that the analysts have always kind of asked questions in terms of trying to understand what potential contingent risks would be, things that might affect valuations down the road. I mean, it's incumbent upon us as long-term investors to think of the long-term horizons. I think it's a case of dialing that up and actually making it almost a separate part from the quantitative aspects, so that we are asking the right questions, looking to mitigate the risks, and in terms of engagement with companies, talk about what best practice standards actually are, because there's an education around that in certain instances, but also at the same time have robust dialogue, look to support management, but have a robust dialogue about the key issues that they probably have to modify and think about in a more innovative sense to temper some of the externalities that they have been potentially causing harm about in the past. And that's a journey. There are milestones set there, but stakeholders now are demanding, and we're not just talking about shareholders, but also customers and suppliers, regulators, a more social consciousness and a greater sense of purpose. And we've reached out to maybe 500 companies in Europe through our corporate access facility, and it's been tremendous just to see the willingness to have open dialogue around ESG issues across companies in Europe. Yeah, I would certainly recommend the forum. I was speaking on a panel this morning with the chief executive of 3 key asset owners. And these are guys who have taken a responsible approach to getting involved with their asset managers, getting involved with policymakers, regulators, think tanks, lobbyists, and being very proactive. And it's important to actually understand what those issues are that they are reflecting from their beneficiaries' demands. At the same time, there's open dialogue and positive energy around the place from people who are looking for solutions and trying to collaborate about, what is a sense of alignment in terms of all the improvements that you could relate to ESG that make for better governance companies and better long-term propositions for shareholders and society.